System of a Down drummer John Dolmayan, in a new interview, describes how he has been targeted since sharing his political views online. Plus, Fear Factory responds to their frontman quitting the band suddenly. They say they found out on social media, and more. Stick with us.
Rock Feed needs you to subscribe right now with notifications on so that we may enjoy a plethora of subscribers. Say 1 million perhaps? No? Yes.
Thank you, sir. Please listen to him and hit that subscribe button. All right, before we talk about System of a Down, let's talk about Fear Factory. The band is reacting after their frontman announced on social media that he would be leaving the group. Now, yesterday, the band's frontman, Burton Bell, suddenly announced that he would be leaving the group after rumors of their reunion surfaced online. There was also a GoFundMe, I believe, to fund their comeback as well. And Burton says that he is out of the group because he can't be in a band with members that he doesn't feel like he can trust. And he said in the statement, "In my own words, I consider myself a private person, preferring to keep my personal issues to myself, my personal business, and trusted loved ones. I make public statements with thoughtful intent, never deviating from the truth. In spite of the consistent series of dishonest representations and unfounded accusations from past and present band members, a toxic drama I chose not to be a part of. The past several years have been profoundly agonizing, with these members bleeding my passion with depraved deceit as a direct consequence of their greed. These three have dragged me through the unjust judicial system, resulting in legal attrition that has financially crippled me. In the end, the three members have taken possession of my principal livelihood. However, they will never take my 30-year legacy as the beating heart of the machine, a legacy that no other member, past or present, can ever claim. So it is after considerable contemplative soul searching that I have come to the realization that I cannot align myself with someone I do not trust nor respect. Therefore, I am announcing fans my departure from Fear Factory to focus all my energy towards the success of ascension of the Watchers and all of my future endeavors." He talks about his project and he thanks his fans for their support. Now we have reaction from Fear Factory as well. Dino, the band's guitarist, appeared on Rob Flynn from Machine Head's podcast, and the podcast was recorded just a few hours after this news went public. So naturally, Rob asked him about it and he got his raw reaction to it. And he says, our singer of the past 30 years decided to leave the band. He released a statement. I found out about it via social media. He says that his explanation for leaving the group failed to address some of the issues that they've dealt with internally. He says, I don't really want to get into his statement really because of a lot of it is just a lot of nonsense. What I noticed is that he doesn't take responsibility for all the legal actions that went down. Most people know that we were in a legal battle the last 3+ years trying to sort out this Fear Factory name situation, and him and I were sued separately in separate courts. The other two ex-members decided to take us to court, which led to me and Burton going bankrupt in separate states. I was in California. He was out there in Pennsylvania. Burton's trademark ownership became available, so I ended up purchasing it. I don't want to get into the gory details. I don't want to have to throw anybody under the bus, but if anybody wants to see the truth, they can go and Google the paperwork, Google our names, and you'll find out it's all there. It's all black and white, and you can see what happened and what transpired. He said that he hoped Burton would actually stay in the band so they could go on tour. And he says, for me, I didn't want him to leave the band. I wanted him to stay in the band and let's continue. Let's go work. And he adds, we've got a record that's coming out next year. When the touring opens up, let's get out there and work. That's my whole thing. I got the name. Let's go work. What's going to change? Nothing will change. The only thing that will change is the person who owns the trademark. It was both of us before, and years before that, the other members, it was all four of us. We finally got the name back. Let's get to work. And obviously it would be very difficult for the singer of the band to maybe stomach having that name taken from him. And so it's sort of this situation where you've got your best friend and you're like, well, I know you just lost your house and it was in foreclosure, but I'm going to buy the house and I'm going to move my whole family into it. You can watch from the sidewalk and I'll pay you to watch from the sidewalk. So I can understand why the singer is mad. This is a business that he probably feels like he helped build. And Dino, to his credit, has every right to do what he did. I don't know the specifics as to why it happened, to be fair to Dino. So, I want to offer him full respect as well. There's always a bunch to the story that we don't know. It's really like that situation where Paul McCartney was telling Michael Jackson, yeah, the Beatles masters are going to come available soon, so I'm going to buy them. And Michael Jackson turns around and scoops them up himself. And that obviously causes problems in their friendship. So that is difficult. I hope they're able to work it out in a way, but I understand if they don't. It's a challenging deal. And what more can you do, folks? So with that, I want to talk about System of a Down. John Dolmayan has been very open about his political belief system, and he has, shared his support for the president. He's made that clear that he wants to vote for the president, and that is what he believes. This surprised a lot of people. There were people out there who assumed that System of a Down was this entirely liberal or progressive band, myself included. And for most people, I don't think it made a difference whether they listened to their music or not, if they didn't agree with everything System of a Down said. And it is fair that not every song that System of a Down, in fact, most songs they've written aren't related to politics at all. But, they're one of the bands that's really done it with class. And so John Dolmayan is out there saying, listen, I've always had an alternate point of view. By and large, he and Serge have been very respectful to each other. They're brother-in-laws. I think they've demonstrated under the spotlight this example of how you can have disagreements and do so with dignity and respect. It hasn't been perfect, but nothing ever is. And so there is a new appearance on Bad Wolves vocalist Tommy Vext. He has a podcast with his friend who, forgive me if Shane Vitko, and they do an awesome job. It's called the Deviant Gentleman Podcast that they've launched a few months ago. You can go over to their channel and subscribe to it. They have some really forward conversations that not a lot of people are having these days. They're not afraid to be offensive, that is for sure. And you can subscribe to them. I've linked to it in the description of this video. So John is on the show, and we've seen him post about this a little bit, but during this 1 hour discussion, he opens up about how he has been targeted, actually, since he shared his political beliefs. If you can believe that, there are actually people that are going after him because he has beliefs that they don't agree with. Here he is telling Tommy and Shane about how this is sort of transpired.
I've had people go on Torpedo Comics and give us a bad review and say, the owner is a fascist and all this. Well, these are people that either don't know the definition of a fascist, right? Or are doing that reversal of roles where they're the fascists and they're kind of putting that moniker on you, right? Which is a great tactic if you think about it. Worked great for Hitler too, Yeah. He had his brown shirts go around and beat people up and intimidate. You think everybody in Germany wanted to kill millions of people or to go to war or do all that?
Later in the interview, John talks about how he really tries to express his opinions respectfully, but naturally sometimes he loses his temper with people.
Sometimes I'll lose my temper with people and I'll go like, look, I'll knock the teeth into the back of your head. Sometimes I go that, but most of the time I'll just be like, look, if you want to have a civil debate, I'll listen to anything you have to say.
Right.
But keep it civil, don't insult. And if they're too insulting, you just block them.
Right. Do you think it's easier for people to spew vitriol and hatred to an avatar rather than being, like you said, if we were all sitting in a bar or at a club or backstage and these people were there, some of the people who talk shit to me, I'm like 9 times out of 10, dude, you'd ask for my picture. You would ask to take a picture with me.
Again, you can see the full interview. It's an hour long over on the Deviant Gentleman podcast, and they put an episode out about once a week, and it's always an interesting in-depth discussion, and nothing is off the table over there, folks. All right, that is all for now. Thanks so much for joining us today at Rockfeed each and every day. If you're new here again, please consider subscribing with notifications on so you don't miss out on breaking news and updates. Thanks again for joining us, and we'll see you all very soon.